Spoiler warning. Attention, dear listeners. It's Libra here. The gentleman will be diving deep into the monstrous mayhem and thrilling twists of Creature Commandos Season 1 on Max. If you haven't caught up and don't want us to unleash any spoilers that could bite, claw, or explode your expectations, now's the time. Turn back, then return when you're ready to join the squad.
Welcome to the League of Melanated Gentlemen podcast. I am Spencer, and I'm one of your hosts on this podcast. And today, I am joined by a member of the League of Melanated Gentlemen to give you a review.
Yes, sir. This is Brandon.
And Jordan is not here.
Not here. Yeah.
And you know, surprise, surprise, he's not on the DC review. Surprise, surprise, he didn't want to talk about Skeleton Crew. Like,
that's crazy, man. It's wild.
Know. I mean, yeah, like, not shocked.
Yeah, not shocked at all.
But, you know, Jordan has his opinions and his feelings, and, you know, this isn't an X-Men episode, so sorry.
I know, right? I did an anime bracket. Never watched any of those shows. But I dove in for the squad, you know. But hey, yeah. You know, we all make sacrifices. Some of us don't.
Yeah, I watched Madam Web for this podcast.
Facts.
So
I watched a lot of crap for this.
My commitment cannot be questioned.
Facts.
But you know, let's not talk negatively on his name while he's not here to defend himself. Jordan is actually off on some personal business, and it's none of your business. So, you know, that's just how it's gotta be. I'm going to do my best to do the normal Jordan intro. Jordan talks about all of the things, all of the places. We have Facebook, we have X, we have YouTube, and we have Instagram, all at the League of Melanated Gentlemen podcast. You could probably find us with LMG Podcast also. We should already be in your algorithm. So, yeah, you know, we should. We should already be in your algorithm. But perhaps this is your first time here. So, League of Melanated Gentlemen podcast, wherever you are. And scheduling updates. Of course, this episode is dropping on Monday. On Tuesdays, every other Tuesday, we have LMG Presents Marvel Multiverse RPG. Jordan and his crew go on adventures, and you can listen to them as they happen. On Wednesdays, we have Wrestling with Worldwide Willis. If I was Jordan, I would say The Great Comeback.
Yeah, The Great Comeback, man. It's you know, right now we're like CM Punk, we're like Drew, you know, every other episode we pop up, you know what I mean? But, you know, we're in the thick of the season. I am coaching, for those that don't know, thick of the season, so it's tough now, but once we get to around, you know, get the season over with, it'll be banger after banger.
So, Brandon, question on that. Are we, like, based on what I just know about time period, we should be ramping up to Royal Rumble, right?
Facts. We don't have a PLE for January because we're ramping up towards Royal Rumble. Yep.
So is Royal Rumble not in January?
No. Nope.
Oh.
Yeah.
Back in my day, I thought Royal Rumble was in January and then WrestleMania was in March.
Yeah.
Is that not true anymore?
No, WrestleMania will be in April. WrestleMania is usually in April now because it's usually around my birthday. And then we have Elimination Chamber the month before. So it's usually Elimination Chamber is March around that time. And then Royal Rumble is like February. Or WrestleMania is February.
Royal Rumble is February.
Royal Rumble, yeah, sorry.
Okay.
And then it's kind of they've kind of changed it around, especially now with these new deals. They've kind of changed some stuff around. But usually top of the year Royal Rumble. But I like that they give it time to breathe because they really give it time to really build the stories for Royal Rumble to where it's not just a bunch of people appearing.
Okay. Okay. And do we know how PLEs will work on Netflix?
Yeah, so right now it's business as usual. It's basically if you're on Mondays, you're gonna click on Netflix. On Fridays, you're gonna watch natural television um, on Fox, and then if you want to watch PLE, you got to go to Peacock. Now, in the future, once the Peacock contracts and things of that expire, the goal is to move everything towards Netflix. I think that's their overall goal. But right now, it's kind of business as usual for PLEs. You just on Mondays you get Netflix.
Okay. Excellent. And every other Friday, you can listen to me review a DC animated film on DC Animation with Spencer and Friends. I'm reviewing the entire catalog of DC animated movies, and next week I will be reviewing Batman versus Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles with a friend.
Nice.
So, yeah, you can listen to me and whoever I'm with talk about that. It's a good time.
Yes, sir.
So, luckily for you, a spoiler warning was issued at the beginning of the episode. So now that we have done that, we will be discussing Creature Commando, the newest DC hotness. It was an animated series given to us by the great James Gunn.
Yes, sir.
And this is the official start of the DCU, correct?
That is correct. As far as overall, yeah.
Okay, so this is James Gunn's introduction to his universe, his version of the DC universe. Now, Brandon, we have discussed on this podcast, James Gunn kind of specializes in taking a group or a person from the back of like from deep in the trunk.
Mm-hmm.
Like he will reach down to the bottom of the barrel, he will get something out, and he will, clean it off, make it pretty, make people like it.
Yeah.
We have seen him do that with Guardians of the Galaxy. We have
Mm-hmm.
seen him do that with Peacemaker. And would you say that we've seen him do that with Creature Commandos?
I think so. I think so. He kind of kind of built the respect back on the Suicide Squad, and yeah, I think he did the same thing. I think his formula works. I think he doesn't divvy from that formula, and I think because of that, he's had a lot of success because it's very good. Like it's used characters no one knows that much about, but still has a lot of comic book lore, and he can change it a little bit. He can tweak some things that needs to be tweaked, but still stay true to the universe and things of that nature. But also incorporate larger characters that we do know, just kind of sprinkle them in every now and again. So yeah, the formula consistently works.
Yes. Yes. So today we are going to be talking through the Creature Commando series. I have written a synopsis for each episode in my own words, and we're just going to talk about it. So the first episode is called Collywobbles, the Collywobbles. And we open with Cersei and her followers, the Sons of Themyscira, attacking Pokolistan. Amanda Waller ain't having it. So she gets Rick Flag Sr. to go in and help their princess. The OG Suicide Squad was shut down because human lives probably shouldn't be in a group called the Suicide Squad. So Amanda Waller puts together a Suicide Squad of non-humans. We get a classic Suicide Squad introduction to everyone. We have the Bride, Dr. Phosphorus, Weasel, G.I. Robot, and Nina Mazursky. They are being called Task Force M, M for Monster. The squad flies to Pokolistan and they are housed by the princess. The princess tries to have Rick Flag, but he's able to resist. That night, the bride leaves the castle and Nina follows her and tries to stop her, but they end up leaving. Also that night, Dr. Phosphorus goes to Rick's room looking for the remote that controls their detonators, and they end up fighting. Rick comes out with the W and tells Dr. Phosphorus that they need to be working together. The bride and Nina end up at Nina's or at the bride's creation house, and an old woman alerts Frankenstein of their arrival. So, Brandon,
Yes, sir.
since this is the first episode, I will ask you some of my standard DC animated questions. So, firstly, how do you feel about the art style of this show?
It's interesting. I would say it's not bad by any means. And I think it works for the I don't know, like the period we're trying to look for. Especially with like the Frankensteins, the bride, like very heavily monsters, right? There was kind of like an era where monsters were huge. Um, However, I don't love it to be honest. It's kind of I'm trying to think of the words here, but like I don't love the certain shape of characters and the certain mannerisms of characters. I don't know. It felt anime, but yet kind of obviously a little adjacent to that. Um, I don't love it, but it's not distracting. I would say. You can get with it. You can kind of get comfortable with it pretty easily, but I wasn't like wowed by it by any means. What about you?
Okay. I generally like the art style. I think that the people are proportioned well in
Hmm.
this art style because in some DC situations, like everybody's just big and huge. They got big shoulders and little legs.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Um, yeah, sometimes, yeah, there are a lot of different art styles that are used. I'm
Hmm.
glad that we went 2D
Oh yeah, 100%.
because as you know, I love 2D animation. It is a wonderful medium, and I don't like that we are getting so far away from it.
Hmm.
I don't think that everything needs to be 2D, but I don't think everything needs to be 3D.
Same, 100%.
And so I love that this show is in two dimensions.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like the art style. There are other art styles DC has done that I like more, but this art style is fine. How do you feel about the voice cast?
Oh, I did like the voice cast. I always feel like James Gunn always hits the ball at the park with voice casting. As far as like he's gonna get he first of all he has great friends. That's one thing I like about James Gunn. He makes really good friendships to the point to where people who've been in a movie 10 years ago with him will pop back up and do a project with him. 10 years from now. You know what I'm saying? Like they'll be like, oh yeah, him and James Gunn did a movie together back in the day, or him and James Gunn did Guardians, or him and all that. So he brings a lot of like familiar faces with him. So you can kind of tell by some of these, it's like, oh, of course he's in this. Of course he's voicing such and such. So I thought the voice casting was really good.
Excellent. I do too. I thought the voice cast was really good. Honestly, the person that surprised me was Frankenstein. Like
Hmm.
David Harbour's Frankenstein is really good.
Yeah, 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 yeah. He is.
And I wasn't I was surprised just because it's like that's not somebody that I would expect to have feelings about one way or the other.
Right.
But yeah, the way that he did Frankenstein, I was like, that's really good.
Hmm.
Because yeah, he has an innocence about him, but also you hate him so much.
Right. 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 Right.
So
Now,
yeah.
I was a little I didn't do my research as far as Frankenstein is concerned because I knew obviously we know the IP is bigger than DC. We know that, right? But I did wonder like was Frankenstein in DC comics like specifically? Like was
So yes.
Mhm.
And most I'd say generally speaking, most public domain things find their way into comic books because they can.
Yeah.
So that's like everything has Zeus in it. Everything has uh some version of, Greek mythology and
Yeah.
other mythologies. And so these monsters are no exception to that. Creature Commandos is originally from the 80s and it takes place during World War II. The
Hmm.
whole reason that they came up, like the whole reason the US came up with the Creature Commandos was because they wanted to use some psychological warfare And so they wanted to create monsters that would scare any man, regardless of cultural differences.
Mm,
And
gotcha.
so the OG Creature Commandos included a wolfman, a vampire, and Frankenstein,
Gotcha.
which again are all public domain, have all been around for hundreds of years.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of how it started, and then it like moved forward from there. They eventually added like a Medusa style character, and then, it's one of those groups where like different iterations have spawned different things. Like, for example, I don't think Dr. Phosphorus has ever been in an iteration of Creature Commandos.
Okay.
I think that Weasel is taking the place of like Wolfman.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, but to answer your question, yes, Frankenstein does exist in the DC universe
That makes sense. Okay.
and has for, a while, and is an OG of the Creature Commandos to the point where I think Frankenstein was their leader in different iterations also.
Okay.
So, yeah. Yeah, again, I think cast very well.
Yeah, 100%.
So, cool. Now, in this episode, we start with Cersei. And Cersei's another character that, like, is just kind of wherever.
Yeah, that's true. Like, you can pop it wherever.
Yeah. And this version of Cersei is an Amazon, and we have the sons of Themyscira, who are, just the worst. But very much people you've seen in this world. And they're attacking Pokolistan, which whenever they were speaking the language, it sounded like Russian to me, but I don't know Russian well enough to know if it was Russian or if they made up a language.
Yeah, it sounded very like, around that area, Baltic area. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, it sounded like just Russian, but I don't know if that was the case. But they're attacking Pokolistan, and Amanda Waller's like, nope, we're not doing that. So she gets Rick Flag Sr. And for those of you who saw Suicide Squad 2, well, 1 and 2, you saw Rick Flag Jr. And in Suicide Squad 2, you see what ends up happening to him. But that this is his dad, if you remember those movies.
So that threw me off at first because I had to remember, okay, what happened in Suicide Squad 2 or whatever, the reboot, whatever.
Yeah.
But it started to make sense because he kind of touches on it later in the episodes and stuff. But yeah, that threw me off first because they have the same look, same yellow, shirt, all that stuff.
Yeah. Like Rick Flag Sr. is just gray.
Yeah.
They're the same dude.
Same dude, damn near same voice, all that.
And I think that was on purpose.
Yeah.
So they go to help the princess, and we discover that the OG Suicide Squad is like not a thing anymore. They've been decommissioned because, again, you shouldn't be calling people a Suicide Squad. Like, it's not a good look.
Yeah.
It's probably not something we want to do. And so she was like,
optics.
Yeah, Amanda Waller was like, well, I'll just not use people. Easy.
Yeah.
Problem solved. And that's a very Amanda Waller thing to do.
Oh yeah, she probably was like, "Oh, I got a cage of monsters in the back, anyways."
Yeah, that's not. Yeah, like I'll just use the non-human folk. Easy.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah. So, of course, that's something you can expect from Amanda Waller.
Yep.
And it was very easy to kind of fold them into a Suicide Squad situation because I don't think that Amanda Waller has involvement with Creature Commandos other than here. But I think pulling her in, like, it made sense to me.
Yeah, it was a glove and fit. Like, it was perfect fit to me.
Like, it made perfect sense.
Yeah.
So we do get a classic Suicide Squad intro. I don't know if you have noticed this, but in most, if not every, Suicide Squad on-screen situation, we are given like an intro card for each member. Now, a part of that, I think, is just a trademark of that group, but also because the group can be different every single time.
Yeah.
We got to tell you who's in it.
You got to get some solid intros.
Yeah. So in Assault on Arkham, in Suicide Squad Hell to Pay, in the first Suicide Squad, like this is a very Suicide Squad thing.
Yeah.
Like it happens every time. And so we see that, a little montage of like, these are the people involved that you need to know. These are the people on the squad. And I appreciate the fact that they do that.
Same, same. Because
Now,
it was a lot of people in here that I just was not aware of. So it was nice. Weasel, I knew obviously,
yeah,
Flag, but a lot of these people, I was like, oh, okay, yeah. Let me type these names in real quick.
yeah. So GI Robot, like he's known for being with the Creature Commandos, and he like eventually shows up and he's just added to the squad. He looked very different in his original iteration, of course.
Mm,
The Bride was created later, and I think that she still had a very turbulent relationship with Frankenstein.
gotcha.
Nina was also, I believe, created for the Creature Commandos, but her origin story is like a tiny bit different.
Mm.
Like they made it a lot more human in this, but I think in the comic book she does this to herself.
Oh, okay.
But yeah. So, and then Dr. Phosphorus, did you watch Batman Beyond?
I did. I did.
So,
I wasn't a day one, but I watched it.
so the
Yes.
main villain of the first season is pretty much Dr. Phosphorus, but
Got
like
it.
a different guy. But if you see the villain from Batman Beyond, you'll be like, "Oh, they're the same dude."
Got it.
His name is Blight.
Mm.
But
Okay.
yeah, like if you see Blight, you'll be like, "Yeah, that's just Dr. Phosphorus." And I thought that Dr. Phosphorus was based on Blight, but it's the other way around. Blight is based on Dr. Phosphorus.
Which would make sense because in the future,
Yes,
Batman
Batman
Beyond.
Beyond is in the future.
Okay.
But I mean, as far as like character design and like in real life.
Oh, okay.
So
Got it.
Dr. Phosphorus, the character, existed before Blight, the character.
Right. Right. Yeah. That makes
But
sense.
but since I've been on Batman Beyond recently, I was like, yeah, that's just Blight.
Yeah.
So yeah. Um, they show up in Pakistan to help, and the princess houses them. And they meet the queen, who is pretty much dead.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's so funny that they're talking about like, oh, the inbreeding has made it rough over there.
Yeah.
Like, and I was like, that's hilarious. But yeah, the princess somehow is just extremely attractive.
Yeah.
And Rick is, trying to hold himself together because she's trying to
Mm-hmm.
have him.
Yeah. Like consistently.
Yeah, and he's like, no, no, I'm at work.
Right.
Let's not do that. That night, we see that the bride leaves, and, it's obvious that she's got some kind of connection to this place. And Nina is like, hey, let's not get our heads blown off.
Right.
Because, again, for those who don't know, another thing with Suicide Squad, they have bombs implanted in their necks so that Amanda Waller can blow their heads off anytime she needs to if they get unruly or
Yeah.
if they get out of order. Now, of course, they were just kind of using it as an electric shock, but its primary function is to kill the
Kill you.
person. Yeah,
Yep.
like your head will get blown off.
Mm-hmm.
And if you've seen any of the DC things that Suicide Squad was in, then you have seen somebody's head get blown off.
Yeah.
So, they leave, and we're not sure where they're going, but Bride happens to know the language, and it's like, oh, okay, that's interesting. Um, Meanwhile, Dr. Phosphorus is like, I am not trying to get shocked. I'm trying to, go
Yeah,
ahead
I'm
and
done with this.
destroy this remote.
Yeah.
And so he sneaks into the room. Flag wakes up. They fight. Because I'm thinking, like, Rick Flag, you are a man. How are you going to fight
Yeah. I was like, how are
Doctor?
you withstanding like these burns?
Yeah, like you will get melted. You will get radiation poisoning.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's way too many problems with fighting against Dr. Phosphorus. Like
Right.
he is a problem.
Mm-hmm.
And he wins the fight.
Yeah.
And then is like, you dummy, why would you think that this is the only remote?
Right. Like there's no backup remote.
Yeah, we're on the same side. Just shut the fuck up. I don't want to hurt y'all. That's not why
Mm-hmm.
I'm here.
Right.
And the bride and Nina end up where the bride was created, like, so her house. And we see some old lady tell Frankenstein, like, hey, your lady's here. And he's like, oh, good.
Say less. Yeah.
Been waiting for her. And so we have episode 2. We open in 1831 with the bride's backstory. Frankenstein monster wants his creator, Dr. Frankenstein, to make him a wife. He assembles pieces and makes it happen. Dr. Frankenstein teaches her how the world works and shows her the tourmaline necklace that she thinks is very pretty. In present day, she is looking for the necklace in an abandoned castle. The sons of Themyscira report to Circe that they are there. Princess Alana is nursing Rick Flag's wounds from the fight with Dr. Phosphorus, and this time, when she tries to have him, she is successful. Back over in the flashback, the Frankenstein monster is furious that the bride is afraid of him. He attacks the doctor and then runs away. The doctor continues to teach her about the world and gives her the tourmaline necklace. Back in present day, Nina finds the necklace and the two of them are attacked by Circe. The rest of the squad make their way to the castle. During the fight with Circe, the bride goes into a flashback of her intimacy with the doctor, and Frankenstein walks in on them. The bride loses her fight with Circe, and we see in the flashback that Frankenstein killed the doctor so that he could be with the bride. She attacks him and runs away. We see a montage of him chasing her through the decades. Nina is shot in the helmet, which makes her useless, and the sons of Themyscira capture Nina and the bride. So, in this episode, we're given our first backstory.
Yeah.
That is of the bride. That is one thing I like that this show did. They spent an episode giving us a backstory on the people that we were following so that we know to some extent how they got here.
Right. Right.
So they're in the 1800s, and Frankenstein is like, is it not human to want love?
Yeah.
So, doctor, I need you to build me a wife. And he's like, I got what I could, so you're going to have to make it work. And he's like,
Right.
she's beautiful. Go ahead and bring her to life. And then he kind of has to explain, like, hey, whenever babies are born, like, they're able to spend some time with their mother, and like they go from nothing to something, but there's a process there.
Right.
She wasn't born, she was made.
Right. Right.
And so to go from nothing to being alive is stressful.
Yeah.
Let's give her a minute. Yeah. And Frankenstein's like, no, I'm trying to have my wife right now.
Yeah.
And the doctor has to be like, I really just need you to hold on. Just for like a little bit.
Patience.
Yeah. And he's teaching her how the world works. And Frankenstein is like, why she need to know why?
Yeah, why she has questions on it?
Yeah, like why she need to know anything? Like, just leave her how she, like, she don't need all that.
Mm-hmm.
And again, so they're making us just be like, you kind of trash.
Yeah, no, he was fitting a certain demo. He was for a little bit there. He was just
so we really don't fuck with you.
Yeah, he was just doing some stuff. I'm like, bro, like, you just don't want her to do anything. You just want her to look. You just want to look at her.
Yeah, and you have an anger, like, you aren't taking responsibility for anything. You aren't taking no for an answer. You aren't taking, like, it's just all of very toxic qualities.
Absolutely.
That we're seeing from Frankenstein.
Mm-hmm.
And she sees the tourmaline necklace, which is the name of the episode, and she thinks it's very pretty. So we kind of go back and forth with the flashback and with present day. So they're looking for the necklace. We now know the significance of the necklace in present day whenever they're looking for it. Mm-hmm. And the sons of Themyscira tell Circe, like, hey, you got some people in the castle. So, you should probably take care of that. And then we see that the princess is, helping Rick Flag with his wounds. And she's just really trying to seduce him.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, please, I don't want to. No. And then he, he folds.
Yeah.
And, it was funny because at the door, they're trying to get the princess's attention, and we can hear Rick Flag giving it to her.
Bro, putting in work.
Yeah, Dr. Phosphorus is just like, I'm gonna need you to hold on. They're in the middle of something. Just a couple minutes,
Yeah, like just a couple minutes.
Yeah. And I think Dr. Phosphorus makes the joke of like, no one could go more than a couple minutes with that.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what he said.
But yeah. So we go back over into the flashback, and Frankenstein is like, why is she afraid of me?
Yeah.
You made her for me. She is mine. So she don't need to be afraid of me. And the doctor's like, I really just need you to bring this down. Like, the fact that you don't understand why, you're why women pick the bear.
Yeah.
People like you.
Yeah.
But whatever. So he blames the doctor, and then he runs off. And the doctor continues to teach her how life works. And it's a very father-daughter relationship. Like he is talking to her like he is teaching a child how the world works. And, she's speaking kind of in that way because she's only recently learning words. And he shows her the necklace, and she's like, ooh, that's pretty. We go back into present day, and Nina finds the necklace, and then Cersei shows up and starts just throwing shit at him. Luckily, the rest of the squad arrives because Rick Flag was like, why didn't you tell me that they left? And Dr. Foster was like, because you were busy.
Yeah.
And I'm a good friend.
Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah.
So they make their way to the castle, and during the fight, the bride hits her back against the table, I think. And that takes her into a flashback of her getting fucked by the doctor.
Yeah.
Which I thought might happen, but was hoping wouldn't.
For his sake. Yeah.
Because, again, the relationship that they had was, like, up until that point, the relationship that they had was very father-daughter. And so that's why I was like, please don't fuck the bride. Please don't, doctor. And yeah, I guess she was grown enough for that because he had a family.
Yeah, he did.
And it didn't matter. And Frankenstein walks in on this, and not good for anybody.
Bawling. But was crying and all.
Yeah, he was hurt.
And
the bride and Cersei continue to fight, and the bride eventually she gets her ass beat. Eventually, like whenever she turns her hands into wacky waving inflatable arm flick, I was like, "Oh no!"
She playing with her food now.
Yeah, I was like, "We're done here." Like you can't. You got spongy arms. Yeah, it's about to get ugly.
Yeah, I felt bad for her. She was just getting cooked.
I did too. It was really bad.
Yeah.
And so in the flashback, we see that the bride walks in, and she's like, I have a gift for you. And we just see Frankenstein standing in front of him, and he was like, I had to do it.
Right.
He was the problem. And then we see what he did to him, and it was awful.
Bro.
Like he had him all twisted up, and it was ugly.
Yeah, it's rough.
He did not have to do him like that.
He really didn't. Like especially the disparity of size, all that. Like
he had a midsection missing.
Thanks. And upside down, all that.
Yeah, it was rough. And the bride just immediately gets violent.
Yep.
Which
had to put hands on you.
Understandable.
Yeah.
Like, regardless of the way that she loved the doctor, she loved the doctor. And so she, puts her hands on Frankenstein and then leaves. And then we see, again, through the decades, he is chasing her, and she is just like, get the fuck away from me.
Exactly.
And so, yeah, we see that his level of toxicity is pretty high.
He's like, let me get a hug type of dude.
Yeah. And it's egregious.
Yeah.
And we see that the sons, I keep saying Thund, the sons of Themyscira are able to capture Nina and the bride because Cersei just was too much.
Yep.
So, one question I have for you, did you notice the music in these episodes?
Yeah,
It
yeah. It
was
was like,
like it was like random rock music
yeah.
in Russian or with Russian accents.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think it was in English, but with the Pokolistan people doing
Right.
the songs.
Mm-hmm.
Um, how did you feel about the choice to put that music in here?
I didn't mind it. I think relatively like with James Gunn, like he usually doesn't miss as far as like music placement and using music to tell a story. Like to me, the only redeeming, well, not the only, but one of the few redeeming qualities about Guardians 2 was the use of music and the use of like weaving that into a story, you know what I'm saying, or the plot, which I enjoyed. So I think in this case, not as important to the plot, but it was kind of cool to get a little, feel like you're in that environment, Loki.
Okay. So yeah, I didn't love it. Like I didn't
Mm-hmm.
love the music itself, but narratively it was perfect.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Like it made sense with everything that was going on
Mm-hmm.
and like the place we were and the activity on screen. Like it all made sense,
Mm-hmm.
but as far as just like listening to it as music, I didn't love it.
Right.
But
No, his music, I would never click
yeah,
play on any of that.
never.
Yeah.
But for the story, it made a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Okay. Episode 3. Cheers to the Tin Men. We open with the rest of the squad arriving to save Nina and the bride. In a flashback, we see G.I. Robot's origin story. During World War II, he helps the Easy Company kill Nazis, and they become brothers in arms. In present day, the squad saves Nina and the bride and realize that it was a distraction so Cersei could go attack the princess at the castle. Back in G.I.'s origin story flashback, he is given to William Magnus to study 20 years after the war. Back in present day, the Sons of Themyscira are attacking, and the squad arrives to join the fight. Back in the flashback, G.I. Robot is found by a guy named Sam. Turns out, Sam is a white supremacist, and G.I. Robot's orders are to kill all Nazis and their allies. A few bullets later, G.I. Robot is arrested and sent to Bel Rev. In present day, Rick Flag tells G.I. Robot that the Sons of Themyscira are Nazis, and he lays waste to them before being blown up by Cersei. Just as Cersei is about to kill the princess, Weasel and Dr. Phosphorus get their hands on her. Cersei
Mm-hmm.
claims that stopping her has doomed the world. So, this is G.I. Robot's origin story, and they did take the World War II influence for him. But of course, his whole operation is killing Nazis. So anytime they talk to G.I. Robot, he's like, I would love to kill some Nazis.
Yeah. Are you a Nazi?
Yeah, it was so funny.
Yeah.
Like I loved G.I. Robot, and
I really
I
do
love
too.
I love the fact that he could squint.
Yeah.
Like that was oh, it was so good.
Yeah.
So, um, they show up to save Nina and the bride, but that doesn't matter right now. In the flashback, we see that he's with Easy Company, which comic books love World War II shit.
Oh, every films, everybody loves it.
Yeah, like here in America, we love World War II because there's a clear bad guy.
Yeah.
There's no negotiating. There's no like, oh, well, let's look at their point of view or see
Yeah.
the nuance. There's no, Nazis are evil.
Mm-hmm.
And so they are a very easy target. Like there are people obsessed with World War II today. There are still things being made about war. We don't talk about World War One ever.
Ever. I will say, bro, it's about a 4 or 5 year period, bro. I was deep in. Like I was down that rabbit hole way too far. I went way too far. But
No, and I get it because the movie Red Tails.
yeah.
Like my grandfather was one of the people that movie was based on.
Oh, that's fire. That's dope.
Yeah, like they had to like maybe a decade before they actually made the movie, they called my mom to get permission. Like,
That's dope.
so yeah, like my grandpa was known as one of the first people to shoot down a Nazi plane in
That's
the
fire.
Tuskegee Airmen. So I too had a World War II phase.
Yeah, salute to that, man. But yeah, I mean that's stuff like that because it has so many layers, right? You
Yeah.
got the leaders, that's interesting. You got the like you said, the good versus evil. Rarely is it that black and white.
Yeah.
Rarely in history. You know what I'm saying?
And I
Like
think that again, that's why we use World War II so often and so
exactly.
freely is because there's a hard villain, there's no
Hmm.
negotiating, there's no nuance. They are evil
Yep.
and we must defeat them.
Yep.
My
Absolutely.
game Sniper Elite that I talk about, I'm
Hmm.
killing Nazis.
Yeah.
Like
Hundred
that's
percent.
what the game is.
Yeah.
The game is shooting Nazis in the head or wherever.
Yeah. No, my favorite was it Call of Duty. My favorite one was the one about World War II.
Yeah, Call of Duty World War II. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that was my favorite one because I was killing Nazis. So it was
Yeah.
like, okay, I'll sign me
And
up.
World War II is also the point where we, the United States, like tipped the scales in our favor as far as power.
Yeah,
Like
100%.
World War II was the point where we took over the earth.
Yeah, 100%. Yep.
And like we became like we were him.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Timothy. Yep.
World War II did that.
Yep.
So yeah, we love us some World War II here.
Yeah, 100%.
And so GI Robot is with the Easy Company, and yeah, he's like, "Are these men Nazis?"
Yeah,
Yes, they're Nazis. And he just gets up on the stilts
yeah. He rise
and
up a couple of them. Victor
and just
Wembanyama style.
and just everybody gone. And so they're like, yeah, cheers to the Tin Man.
Yeah.
He killed all the Nazis. And back in present day, they realize like, oh shit, this was just a distraction. We have to get back to the castle
Mm-hmm.
because Cersei's going to attack the princess, and now we're not there to help. In the flashback, we see that it's, several years later, and they have GI Robot on a talk show. And GI Robot is like, you check everybody's ID in here?
Yeah.
Because wouldn't want there to be any dirty Nazis in
Nazis
here.
in here. Yeah.
And I was worried that, like, oh no, he's gonna start shooting in the crowd.
He's gonna start spraying.
Yeah, like it's not gonna be good. And luckily that doesn't happen. But he is, acquired by William Magnus. Now, Dr. Magnus has the metal men. So he's got gold, silver, bronze, copper, and tin, I think are all of the metal men. But most people have seen Dr. Magnus in things like here and there. But yeah, so he gets a hold of him and he's like, "Hey, I'm studying you." And he's like, "Where are my people?" And he starts naming off the Easy Company. And Dr. Magnus is like, "I have no idea who those people are. It's been 20 years. So sorry, can't help
Yeah.
you." And then he just kind of gets thrown away for a little bit. And then he is retrieved by a guy named Sam, who's just happy to be here. Now, let me tell you, um, in most cases, when certain people have an obsession with World War II, it is a sign of what we saw.
Yeah.
Shane Gillis has made reference to that.
Yep.
And he's like, yeah, like you start slowly becoming a Republican, you start caring about World War II a lot. Like those things line up.
Yeah.
And
100%.
whenever we saw this guy, I knew in my heart, I was like, I know, I think I know what he is.
Yeah. Yep.
And they made him seem like just a nice dude, regular person who's just a fan. But
Mm-hmm.
it was when he said, I would have served, but this darn leg or something. Whenever he said that, I was like, I think I know where we're going. I
Yeah.
think I know how this is gonna, like, I know what direction they're taking me
Right.
at this point. I knew that Sam was not a good person.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew that him being, yeah, I had a feeling.
Yeah, he fit
Did
all
you
the demographics.
So did you see it too before it happened?
Yeah, I was like, because I felt like James Gunn and the writers are like, they would make fun of a guy like this. The guy
Yes.
who is on social media saying crazy stuff in comments. You know what I mean? Like, he fits all the demographics. So yeah, once we start heading that direction, yeah, he starts saying all the trigger words that
Yeah.
I was like, ooh,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah.
And they just slowly got worse. Like
Mm-hmm.
he was just like it was becoming more and more apparent. But yeah,
Yep.
like I think that we have an eye for it for obvious reasons.
Right.
So we caught it immediately.
Yeah.
But there are some people that may not have known until they were in the truck.
Yeah.
There are some people that may not have known until they actually arrived at the meeting.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I I thought it was hilarious.
Oh,
But
amazing writing.
yeah, and that also because it's James Gunn, I
Yep.
knew that that's a direction we were going to go because I remember Peacemaker's father.
Yeah. 100%.
So yeah, like James Gunn, yeah, like he's like, no, we gonna throw some people in here that are on the wrong side of
Yep.
morality,
Mm-hmm.
and we got something for them.
Exactly.
So whenever they get to the meeting, it becomes abundantly clear, and GI Robot is like, hmm, like again, I love that he could squint. His
Yeah.
squints were perfect. Yeah,
He's
GI
like
Robot was
spotting
like,
tattoos and stuff. You're like,
yeah,
mm.
he was definitely just using context clues. He's
Yeah.
be like, ah, and yeah, he uh he just said Nazis.
Yeah.
Got it. Cleared the room.
Bro, brutality, bro. The way they depicted it was like, God, oh,
Yeah. I was like, those were high caliber rounds. Like
yep,
those were 50 caliber. Like those bullets were just oh God, taking
yeah.
chunks out of people.
I was like, yeesh.
Yeah, these people are dead.
Yeah,
And then he was like, he does fit our description of a man,
yeah.
for the record.
Mm-hmm.
And he killed like 32 people and feels nothing.
Yeah,
So
absolutely nothing.
yeah, we're going to have to put him away.
Yeah,
And yeah, because he was a robot, he just sat in Bel Rev for a while
right.
because there were no Nazis. We're back in present day, and Rick Flag tells GI Robot, like, hey, those dudes over there, Nazis.
Mm-hmm.
And so now he's upgraded. He can fly.
Right. Yeah, you
So
got little saucers and shit.
he don't just have to be tall. He can just fly up there again, clear everybody out. And again, unfortunately, Cersei's too much.
Yep.
So she puts GI down, and Nina is very sad about it because Nina had made friends with GI because GI said to Nina, like, I would love to kill Nazis with you
Mm-hmm.
because that's what friends do. And so yeah, Nina was hurt, but Cersei was about to kill the princess. Like she came dangerously close, but luckily Weasel and Dr. Phosphorus showed up, and Dr. Phosphorus was like, I've been waiting to get my hands on you. He had been waiting. And yeah, Dr. Phosphorus, what was your favorite monster?
Ooh,
Like of the group?
that's tough. It's honestly Dr. Phosphorus he might be one or two for me. The quips, all that stuff was top tier.
Yeah,
Like,
and his voice actor, Alan Tudyk, I love him.
yes, like he was top tier. So to me, it's either him, GI Robot. One thing about me, I'm a sucker for a robot. Like if a robot with a personality and a backstory, and he's part of an ensemble, I'm usually gonna rock with that person.
Okay.
But yeah, Dr. Phosphorus was hilarious consistently.
Yeah. I think Dr. Phosphorus was my favorite.
Yeah,
But I love all of them. Like
yeah.
all
No, they
like
were all good.
yeah, like I love Weasel, I love the Bride, I love Nina. Like I was happy with like I think I felt the least about Rick Flag.
Yeah, yeah, which makes sense.
Yeah, but yeah, like as far as the monsters, I love them all.
Hmm.
But also they got backstories, and so that helped.
Right.
And so, yeah, Dr. Phosphorus, yeah, he's able to get his hands on her and just burns her shit.
Yeah.
And then Cersei is like, "Hey, you've doomed the planet. Like it's not going to be good." And
Hmm.
so in the next episode, we have Chasing Squirrels. We open with Rick Flag saying goodbye to the princess. When the squad arrives back at the US, Frankenstein is spying on the bride because, of course. And he develops a hatred for Rick Flag on sight.
Yeah.
And Weasel's attorney shows up to represent him, claiming that he is innocent of the crimes for which he has been convicted. Amanda Waller interrogates Cersei, and Cersei is still claiming that the Princess of Pokolistan will bring doom to the world. Amanda Waller agrees to let Cersei show her the future, and it is bleak. Amanda Waller consults with Dr. McPherson and tells Rick Flag to return to Pokolistan to kill the princess. Rick doesn't want to do that, so the squad is put together with the bride in charge, and Rick Flag is attacked at his home by Frankenstein. After a brief fight, they are able to talk calmly, and the squad heads out to Pokolistan. In a flashback, Weasel makes friends with some kids who break into their school and accidentally start a fire. An old man sees this and assumes that the kids are in danger, so he calls the police and he goes in with a gun. There is an explosion, and Weasel is captured by the police while trying to save one of the children. So, this episode was surprisingly heavy.
Yeah. Very much so.
And I will say Weasel's backstory was the backstory I wanted to see.
Yeah.
Because they kept saying that he uh
Murdered.
loved killing children or something.
Yeah.
And along with that, I wanted to see before this. Like, I wanted to see, how did Weasel become Weasel? Like, did he start out as a weasel and he was genetically modified? Did he start out as a man that got turned into a weasel? Was he like, I wanted to know how got here,
Yeah. Same.
and we did not get
Same.
that.
Yeah. I'm glad that we got clarification on that, on those accusations. But yeah, I agree. Like, if we could have just touched on, yeah, like, is he? Because I wondered that even in the movie. You know what I mean? Like, it's
Yeah,
just certain stuff I want to know. You know?
like I wanted an origin story for Weasel, like we got one for Nina.
Yeah. Yep.
But we'll talk about her story later. But
Hmm.
whenever they arrive back in the US, again, we see Frankenstein's toxicity, rise up even more,
Hmm.
because he sees Rick Flag and is like, "Look at this handsome motherfucker talking to my lady. I hate him."
Yeah.
And so, yeah, just mad for literally no reason.
It's Hayden.
Yeah. And yeah, like, just saw him and put him on the nigga go die list right then.
Immediately. Yeah.
And Weasel's attorney shows up and she's like, "Hey, my client is innocent."
Yep.
So, and I've been, trying to get this handled for a while. And I feel like she calls him John because anybody who doesn't have a name is just John.
Hmm.
But yeah. So we see that Amanda Waller interrogates Cersei, and Cersei's like, "Hey, the end of the world is coming. I needed to kill her to let the world exist."
Hmm.
And Dr. McPherson is, an expert, and she's like, "Hey, all I'm saying is that she is a seer, and seers are right most of the time."
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Which is technically true. Like, usually
Yeah,
it's
usually, yeah,
valid.
like their premonitions are out of their control. They just happen.
Right.
And yeah, usually that's because they are the future.
Hmm.
So it is an ugly future.
Right.
And so Amanda Waller agrees begrudgingly to let Cersei show her this future. And because Dr. McPherson is there, Dr. McPherson, being an expert, is like, "Yeah, it's a pretty good chance that what she saw is legit. So
Hmm.
you should handle that however you
Right.
see fit." And so Amanda Waller's like, "Hey, Rick, I'm gonna need you to go deal with her." Like, we're talking about bringing it into the world, and I can't have that.
Right.
So I'm gonna need you in the squad to go back and put her down.
Yep.
That's just what it's got to be. And Rick, of course, doesn't want to do that because he thinks she's, a nice girl, and also he knows her biblically.
Yeah, he clapped them cheeks.
Yeah, and so he's like, I don't want to do that.
Right.
She's a really nice lady. And so Amanda Waller's like, okay, that's fine. And so she's like, hey, bride, you don't know her biblically, so I
Mm-hmm.
need you to go ahead, take the squad, get it done.
Mm-hmm.
And bride's like, orders are orders. So let's go.
Right.
Rick goes home and Frankenstein attacks him immediately. Luckily, Rick is incredibly skilled because to go up with Dr. Phosphorus and win, and then to go up with Frankenstein, who's pissed,
Right.
and, be able to get him to a point where he can talk calmly is impressive.
Mm-hmm.
So he's able to say like, "Hey, whoa, whoa, no, we're not, we're
Yeah,
not
not
doing
like that.
that."
Yeah.
And then Frankenstein is like, "Oh, you're my best friend now." And so then we see Weasel's flashback. So
Mm-hmm.
Weasel is just, there are some kids, being bad, doing stuff they don't need to be doing. And Weasel's just kind of in the bushes. And the kids are not afraid of him.
Mm-hmm.
They're just like, hey, let's play. So they start playing. And an old man sees this and is like, oh no,
Right.
I don't like this one bit. Because he sees, a giant hairy creature potentially attacking children.
Right.
So while we know that the old man is out of line, I'm not mad at the old man.
I mean, it's fairly it's fair to be
Yeah.
like, well, I mean, why wouldn't he react that
Yeah.
way?
Like it's really gray on purpose.
Right.
And again, this is a situation where everybody thought they were doing the right
The
thing.
right thing. Yep.
Yeah. So that's a part of why this episode was heavy and it felt really bad
Yeah.
because I'm not mad at the old man. If I see a giant mutant weasel, what I think attacking children, we got to
Yeah.
protect the kids.
Absolutely.
And so, yeah, I understand why he called the police. I understand why he went and got his shotgun. And yeah, from afar, like that's one of those things, like a lot of people will be like, I'm going to mind my business. That's hard to do
Yeah.
in this situation. So they break into
100%.
they break into the school, they start messing with shit and a fire starts. The old man goes in there with the gun thinking he's protecting the children and, things get very ugly. Weasel is in there trying to save these kids, and of
Mm-hmm.
course the police don't know that. They just see him, kidnapping a child
Yeah.
for all they know. And so Weasel is blamed for the death of all of those children and, everything. And Weasel is so hurt
Yep.
by all of it. And while, and it causes an explosion, and, the police uh, get Weasel, and yeah. And then whenever he's asleep and having this, nightmare, they are like, hey, what do you think he's dreaming about? And chasing squirrels.
Yeah.
When in fact, he is reliving the
Trauma.
worst moment
Yep.
of his life. And so, yeah, it's rough.
It's rough. It's a really good episode, but it is rough.
Yeah, I agree. Again, was not prepared for this episode to be that heavy.
Same. Like, I kind of thought Weasel's, Weasel's, whenever we got his backstory, I thought it'd be, like you said, a little more, okay, the beginning of Weasel himself, and then maybe a little bit of clarification, but they dove 100% into the clarification of, like, why he's in prison, why, you know what I mean? Why
Yeah,
he's
they
part
went
of the
straight to
squad.
his crimes, as
Yeah.
opposed to like his origin.
Mm-hmm.
So, we move over to episode 5, The Iron Pot. We open with Dr. McPherson teaching and being spied on by Rick Flag and Frankenstein. The squad arrives in Pocolistan, and Rick Flag and Frankenstein go to Dr. McPherson's house to find evidence to save Alana. Now, we're taken back to the 1800s. Frankenstein ends up severely injured and saved by an old woman. At Dr. McPherson's house, they find her dead, which means that the one that they walked into, the one that they saw, is a great big phony.
Mm-hmm.
Turns out to be Clayface. Over in Pocolistan, the squad gets into a firefight with the Royal Guard. Back at the house, Rick Flag and Frankenstein get caught by Clayface, and he beats their ass. But Frankenstein is able to electrocute him and win the day. Rick is all fucked up and asks Frankenstein to tell the bride what the situation is before he passes out. Over in a flashback, Frankenstein kills the old lady so that she will never have to be alone before he leaves to find the bride. And in today's time, the princess vows to kill all threats on her kingdom because now she knows that the squad is there for her.
Yep.
So, this is the episode where we find out, like, oh shit, there's actually some mess.
Yeah.
So we see that Dr. McPherson is teaching, and she's just like lesbians, am I right? And it's like, wow, okay.
Right.
And the squad arrives in Pocolistan, and they're like, yeah, we're here to, add more protection. Could you take us back to the castle?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're friends, remember?
Right.
And so, Rick Flag and Frankenstein go to Dr. McPherson's house because they're like, there's something here. It's something fishy. There's some bullshit. So let's see what we can find. Then we're taken into the flashback for Frankenstein, and he's about to die.
Yeah.
And this old blind lady saves him.
Mm-hmm.
And so, makes friends, heals him up, gets him right. Over at Dr. McPherson's house, they go upstairs and they see that she is DED.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're like, oh shit, the one that we have walking around is a great big phony.
That ain't her. Yeah.
It ain't her. And, we figure, who could it be?
Right.
It could be anybody. And Clayface, the shapeshifter, easy answer. Over in Pocolistan, the squad gets found out. Like they, are driving around in circles, trying to delay them, trying to make sure that they get the army ready, and they get into a firefight with the Royal Guard.
Yeah.
Now, back at the house, they're trying to sneak out because Clayface is just, playing video games, having a good time.
Right.
And they're like, okay, we have to get out of the house. And Clayface catches them, and it is ugly.
Ugly.
Like, Rick Flag was able to hang with Dr. Phosphorus, he was able to hang with Frankenstein, but Clayface was too much.
Too much.
And Clayface beats they ass. It is not good.
No.
I was concerned Rick Flag might die today.
Yeah, especially with this type of show. Would be surprised.
And that's the thing. With the Suicide Squad show, nobody's safe.
Nope.
You never know who makes it to the end.
Mm-hmm.
And Rick Flag Jr., DED. So I was like, oh no. Like in a show like this, the stakes are real because anybody can get it.
Right.
And we will talk about that a little bit later. But yeah, so luckily Frankenstein is able to use electricity to kill Clayface. I say kill because whenever they came back later, it was still just a pile of clay. Right. So that feels like something Clayface would like. It would happen to Clayface, and then he would eventually reconstitute himself.
Yeah, after a while, yep.
Yeah, at least with other versions of Clayface that we've seen, it seems like that wouldn't kill him. But for all intents and purposes, Clayface is dead.
Mm-hmm.
So Rick Flag is not okay. And he's like, hey, Frankenstein, I may not live.
Right.
So I need you to tell the bride that we were wrong about the princess and we need to not kill her. And then he passes out from, his many injuries.
Hmm.
And then we're taken back to the flashback where Frankenstein is with the old lady. And Frankenstein is kind of like, all right, thank you so much for getting me back right. I'm going to
Yeah.
go.
You gathering up
And
his stuff.
yeah, and she's like, what do you mean? Like, I've really enjoyed you being here. I've been alone this whole time. Like, I've been the happiest I've ever been because I've been with company.
Hmm.
And he's like, oh, I would never leave you alone. I would never do that. And he puts her down.
Yeah.
Wasn't ready for that.
Same. I was just
Didn't
like,
think that's where we were going.
I guess I was thinking of Frankenstein like present day. So I'm like, it seems like he's getting better. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And God, oh
Yeah. And he would also talk crazy to her a little bit.
yeah,
Again, like very toxic dude.
yeah, 100%.
But yeah, when he put her down, I was like, oh, not what I thought was gonna happen.
Especially that way, like
Yeah.
to bang her over the head, like
Yeah. Like it was rough.
yeah,
But also, I'm not like after it happened, I was like, but I could see how we got here.
yeah,
Yeah, like before it happened, I was like, oh shit.
yeah.
So yeah. He kills her and then takes the dog.
That was cold blooded,
Yeah. And then they, ride off into the sunset.
like
Because
it
yeah,
was a
he
beautiful
locked
story or something.
he locked the dog out of the house because he knew the dog was gonna get in the way.
Yeah,
And the dog kind of knew what was happening.
yeah, scratching at the door and all that.
And then yeah, once it was done, the dog was like, all right, let's go.
Yeah, it was like all right, let's clean up, let's roll.
Yep. So yeah. And then he goes to, find the bride.
Hmm.
And the princess is like, hey, they came for me, so I'm coming for them.
Yeah.
That's what it is now.
Oh, bro, that scene with Dr. Phosphorus when he went through the tank, that was fire.
Yes. Again, Dr. Frost, he's a problem.
Problem.
Like, he's too much.
Yeah, like my man just
Uh,
walked through a tank.
yeah, like he's the guy. Yeah, he's the muscle.
Yeah, he's
So
like
yeah,
having a nuke.
literally.
Yeah,
So yeah, Dr. Phosphor, he's too much.
yeah.
So in episode 6, uh Priatul Skelet, we open with the origin story of Dr. Phosphorus. Into daytime, the squad is hiding from the Pokolistan guards who are hunting for them. Everybody on the squad makes a new friend, and while they're hiding, Rick Flag is taken to the hospital by Frankenstein, who is on his way to the bride in Pokolistan. In the Dr. Phosphorus flashback, we see Rupert Thorne kill his family and frame him for it. He was supposed to use nuclear fusion to cure cancer with Rupert's funding, but he didn't like Rupert's involvement with oppressive countries, so he provided false information and got caught. They put him in a machine intending to kill him, but of course, he ends up becoming Dr. Phosphorus. He then kills Rupert Thorne and takes over his entire operation, but ends up getting stopped by Batman. Into daytime, Frankenstein lands in Pokolistan, and the squad make their way to the castle. So, in this episode, we see the origin story of Dr. Phosphorus. He is a scientist, and when we open, he's like trying to escape.
Yep.
And then we see that, he's in the back of a truck. He gets caught. Like, obviously, there's some mob shit that's going
Yeah,
on.
some gangster stuff going on. Yep.
Yeah. Into daytime, we see that the squad is hiding out. So we see that Nina and the bride find their way to a brothel and they make some new friends. Of course, the bride is in there, holding gun to folks' head, like, hey, hide us.
All right.
And the brothel's like, okay, you ain't got to do all that.
All right.
But yeah, we can hide you. That's not a problem. Dr. Phosphorus finds a house, and these children are not scared of anything.
No, not at all.
Like, all of these children are just like, hey, it's whatever.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, this little girl comes downstairs and is like, I'm hungry, to the glowing skeleton man in her house.
Yeah.
I know that if I saw a glowing skeleton man
Oh,
in my house,
bro,
yeah,
I'm jumping out the nearest window.
yeah, at a minimum, I'm gonna yell for my parents. At a
Yeah,
minimum.
exactly.
But you just unbothered. Like, hey,
Hmm.
you, fix me some food.
Right.
Since you're here.
Right.
Um, and then Weasel finds some wolves.
Hmm.
And they have a great time. They play some fetch, they take a little nap, and then they keep it going. But we see that Frankenstein is able to get Rick Flag to the hospital. And after that, we see that Frankenstein is trying to make his way to Pokolistan. And so they're like, hey, we got to watch all the flights. And yeah, he, again, just has no problem killing people.
Bro.
And yeah, he finds himself a flight. He's like, hey, take me where I need to go.
Hmm.
And then when he gets there, he pays the pilot handsomely. So at least there's that. But
Yeah.
yeah. So we see in the flashback that Dr. Phosphorus is saying to his wife, like, hey, this is the situation. Like, we have a cure for cancer. I'm using nuclear fusion to cure cancer. And she's like, yeah, I don't like the dealings with these other countries. Like,
Right.
it doesn't sit right with me, seeing as how I am from a place that is oppressive.
Hmm.
And so he ends up getting caught, and we just see his wife and child bloody on the
Bro.
ground. And they just, while he's crying and grieving,
Hmm.
they're just like, yeah, get his hands all in there
Yeah. Put his hands,
and
wipe the
get
knife.
his prints
Yeah.
everywhere. And I'm like, that is crazy. But that's how that thing goes.
Hmm.
And so then we see what was actually like going on, how we got here. Because I was like, he's building a cure for cancer. Like, what? Why would you? Why would you do this? He's
Right.
like, no, we were supposed to give this information to our friends over in Bialia.
Yeah.
And he was like, my wife was really passionate about, not giving nuclear information to really oppressive countries. And
Yeah.
they turned that around on him real quick.
Yep.
And they were like, look at you blaming your wife. I was like, that's trifling. But,
Yeah.
again, that's the game. And they're like, yeah, put his ass in the reactor.
Yep. See
Because
what
there's always a
happens.
reactor. Yeah. See what happens. And then, yeah, he's like, you don't mess with Rupert Thorne. And so they assume that this is going to, kill him.
Right.
And very painfully. Because
Oof,
I'm
that
like,
was
if you were
brutal.
going to do that, why frame him?
Yeah,
But
that's what I'm saying. Like,
I guess that was a part of the narrative. Like they said, the, mad scientist who kills his family than himself. So,
using his stone stuff. Okay.
yeah, okay. So, they put him in the machine. He's supposed to die from it, but of course, he comes out that thing, a fucking menace.
Shiny. Yeah.
So, yeah, he goes and finds everybody that was involved
Hmm.
with what happened to him. I don't remember, did he kill Rupert Thorne and his family, or just Rupert Thorne? Because Rupert
It.
Thorne was like with his family
Yeah.
when he showed up.
It looks like his fan. Well, it kind of like was kind of gray area. I thought.
Yeah, because I know they said on the news, like, crime boss Rupert Thorne, gets got.
Right.
And yeah, he gets his like the henchmen that were in the room, he gets them too. He's
All
like,
of
no,
them.
all y'all. Because I like that the whenever he arrived, and the security guard was like, do you have an appointment? And yeah, it didn't go
Yeah.
well for that guy.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Dr. Phosphorus, then he shows up and he's like, hey, all Rupert shit is mine now. All of
Yep.
it. All of it. All of his organizations, all of his enterprises, everything
All
belongs
mine.
to me.
Yep.
And we see he's, having a good old time. He's got money and hoes and cocaine and yeah, like he's living it up being,
Yep.
a crime lord. And, he's dancing.
Yep.
And then of course, fucking Batman, which I wanted to see that fight,
I know. I was like, damn.
but they didn't have the time to, give us that. But yeah, like I wanted to see Batman cook all of the
Yeah.
people in the room. I wanted to see what he had for Dr. Phosphorus
Mm-hmm.
because I if Rick Flag could do it, of course Batman could do it, but I wanted
Oh
to
yeah.
see how. So, yeah, he gets arrested. But Frankenstein lands in Pakistan, pays the nice flight crew, here's some money. Thank you for getting me
Mm-hmm.
here. And we see that each member of the squad finds their way to the castle. So we see while they were in the brothel, they were successfully hidden from the guards, and then they kind of had a philosophical discussion about um the use of one's body for their own ends because um the madam of the brothel, which there's a word for it, but I can't come up with it. But yes, the mother of
Oh,
the
I know what you're
brothel.
talking about. I can't remember.
Um, yeah, she's like, y'all could rack up some money here. Like there's some people who like a little strange something.
Yeah, got a little kink.
Yeah, and the bride was like, "Fuck you mean?
Yeah.
Like I'm not. That's beneath me."
Mm-hmm.
And the mother of the house was like, "You use your body to get a lot done. We do too. You
Yeah.
use your body for pain. We use our bodies for pleasure.
All right.
So how dare you attack our line of work?"
All right.
And so yeah, then later we see that there's some dick bags that come through, and of course they're metahumans, like they just have random electric powers.
Yeah.
And we knew that they were going to be terrible dudes whenever they
Oh yeah.
arrived. Like they
Mm-hmm.
again, just straight douchebags. They take one of the young women upstairs. There's some yelling and screaming because she's, being abused.
Mm-hmm.
And the lady's like, nobody, we don't treat my girls like this. Get the fuck out.
Right.
And they're terrible about it. So they get dealt with.
Absolutely.
And the bride, again, feels nothing. But the madam is like, is this how this normal for you? Like, this is how you live?
Yeah.
Kinda. So
Felt like that.
yeah. And again, one of the things that the bride says is like, Nina, we're not friends.
Right.
And after that, Nina's like, so you do care about people. You do have friends. You're not a monster.
Right.
So yeah, I enjoyed their time in their hiding spot because
Yeah.
we got to see um some good conversations and some good action in there.
Yeah. 100%.
So we then have our final episode, A Very Funny Monster. We open in a flashback of Nina's origin story. She was born with lungs on the outside of her body. Her father builds her basically a mobile iron lung so that she can breathe, but it's cumbersome and her mom really can't take it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, he tries an experiment which turns her into a fish person. In today's time, the squad begins to infiltrate the castle and Frankenstein arrives but is shot on sight by the bride. Back in the flashback, Nina is enrolled in school and aggressively bullied. She decides to run away to unburden her father, and he is devastated. In today's time, the squad makes it through the castle wall and Rick Flag wakes up from his coma. He is able to kind of tell Amanda Waller that she was wrong about the princess, and the squad decides that Nina needs to be the one to kill the princess since the princess decides she is going to take a swim. Over in the flashback, Nina is captured for existing, and her father was killed right in front of her. In today's time, Amanda Waller gets to Dr. McPherson's house, realizing that she's been bamboozled, and she calls Picolistan to call off the hit on the princess. While
Mm.
while Nina is about to execute, Weasel breaks down and exposes their position, which allows the princess to stab Nina under the water, killing her. It
Ugh.
is then that Amanda Waller is able to get the message to the squad. The bride later finds the princess and tells her she ain't shit because she knows that the princess and Clayface were in cahoots. And because the princess killed Nina, the bride puts a hot one between her eyes.
Mm-hmm.
The bride sheds tears for the loss of her only friend, and the squad heads out. Upon arriving back home, the bride is given a new squad and an entire wing of the prison. And in a post-credit scene, we see that Frankenstein is alive and eating soup with an old lady.
Another one. That's tough.
Yeah, this one was hard. And so Nina was put in prison for just existing. Like
Yeah.
that's my understanding. Because I thought that whenever her dad got shot, I thought she was going to at least hurt someone.
Yeah, I thought so too.
But no, she watched her father die and then just got put in a tank. And that was the end of it. Like
Mm-hmm.
she didn't do anything to be imprisoned.
Yeah,
But
it was pretty messed up. Yeah,
yeah,
I didn't understand that. I thought she was gonna have an emotional reaction and start putting in work.
I did too. And I know that kind of goes against her personality, but also like similar to Weasel's story, how like Weasel did nothing wrong, but
Mm-hmm.
Weasel was accused of heinous acts. She wasn't.
Exactly.
And so like hers was really tragic. Like I see why they saved her for the end. But she was born with her lungs outside of her body. And whenever her mother saw her, her mother was like, "Oh God."
Yeah.
And her dad was like, "I love her anyway. So
Yeah.
we're gonna make this work." Like, I see no problems here.
It's tough, man.
Yeah.
When a parent rejects you, it's tough.
Yeah. And so her dad, built her little iron lung,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, it's cumbersome, but she can get around with it.
Yeah.
And the dad was like, she's happy. She didn't know any different. Like
Mm-hmm.
she's fine. But the mom was like, I can't do this.
Yep.
Like you decided that yeah, I wanted to get rid of her and you didn't, so I'm gonna have to leave.
It's just crazy.
Yeah, like you're gonna have to deal with this by yourself. And I was like, that is crazy, but there are people who in that situation would feel that same way.
Yeah.
So eventually, she's older and, it's really hard for her to get around because of the breathing and this heavy ass, metal jacket she has to wear. And
Mm-hmm.
he tries to take her to the park. And honestly, I'm glad that we didn't see her at the park because that would have just hurt my feelings.
They would have ripped her to shreds, man.
Yeah, like I'm so glad we didn't see her at the park because
Yeah.
I was like, please don't do that.
Right.
Please
You're
don't.
setting her up for failure.
Yeah, like she's tired on this walk, so there's
Mm-hmm.
no way she's gonna get over to the park and have a good time. And
Right.
yeah, like I was concerned,
Same.
but he, his of course his expertise is in biogenetics or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So he tries to infuse her with some fish parts, and she turns into the dude from Hellboy.
Yeah. And from what's that other movie that won a bunch of Oscars? I can't remember, but yeah.
Water something, Water World.
What?
I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Way of the Water. No, I don't know.
Where the water? Yep.
That may not be. I don't know. But yeah, turns into one of them. And so he puts her in water and she's good. So now
Mm-hmm.
she just got to wear a tank. But over into
Yep.
daytime, the squad begin to infiltrate the castle. They get into the security room and, they see some shit, and Frankenstein climbs the wall and is like, "Hey, I have something to tell you." And she's like, "Absolutely fucking not," and just hits him. Bow, bow, bow. Like 3 to the chest immediately.
Yeah.
And he's like, "But I have something to tell you." And she's like, "I said no." And it hits him again. And I was like, honestly, yep.
Yeah.
That's how that's gonna go.
Mm-hmm.
You needed to send a raven or write her a letter.
Yeah. Have a go in between person.
Yeah, but of course he's not gonna do that.
Yeah.
Because even after, more than a century of chasing this woman, he still thinks he got a shot.
Yeah.
And so yeah. Even the old lady was like, "She doesn't love you.
Right.
Don't chase her around the world. She does not love you."
Mm-hmm.
And that probably pissed him off. So he was going to kill her anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, like she don't want you, bro. That's what it is. But of course, he will never know that. So we go back into the flashback and we see that he is enrolling her in school. And he says, like, he's been homeschooling her this whole time. She's brilliant. She speaks several languages. She's proficient in all of these areas. Like, she's a very gifted student, but she doesn't have any interaction with other people other than me.
Yeah.
And she, I think, could use some, like, social time.
Right.
I think it's the one thing she's missing. So he enrolls her in school and she sees polo and is like, "That's a game I can play."
Mm-hmm.
Because, I'm freely able to move around, but like it's not an absurd amount of contact. The ball is good. Yeah, like that's something I can do.
Yeah.
And on the polo field, it gets ugly quickly.
Yeah.
Like those kids just come after her. And then just while she's in the locker, while she's in her locker, those boys get and it's again like the level of bullying. I was like, oh God,
Yeah.
I hate this, and I want those boys hurt.
Yeah.
Like I don't want them to walk away from something needs to happen to them.
Yeah.
And
they put a frog in her locker or something.
Yeah, we see some hope later because there's a young boy who smiles at her, who's not terrible, and I was like, okay, we've got a friend.
Yeah.
They put the frog in her locker, and I'm like, God damn it.
Yeah, man.
And I was hoping that he would show up and be like, hey, don't worry about those kids. Like I was hoping we'd see some, positivity. We did not.
Nope.
And so she decides like, hey, Dad, I love you so much. You could not have been a better father. Like there was nothing you could have done better for me. But I want to unburden you.
Yeah. And
so I'm going to run away so that you don't have to deal with this anymore because I know that I am a problem. And he was not okay.
No.
And he shouldn't have been. So we move back over into daytime and the squad make it to the castle wall. And Dr. Phosphorus is like, it's going to take me a minute, but I can get through this wall.
Right.
And he burns through the... I need to drink water real quick.
No, the way he killed that guard was crazy. Put his hand on his mouth and then just literally
slid that thing back. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was one of my favorites.
Ooh, God. Oh. That's a tough way to go out.
Yes, it is. Oh, that was rough. But yeah, it was one of my favorite kills in the show.
Yeah, it was like unexpected. Like, oh my God. I never even thought about that scenario. You know what I mean?
And it was so smooth.
Yeah.
It was so smooth. That's what made it better, is that it was just like, yeah.
Yeah.
So, just be quiet. Night. Yeah. So yeah, that man, that's too bad for him.
Whoever walked up on him, on his body, was probably like, what the hell just happened?
Yeah. Whoever found him was like, oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
I can see his brain, like the inside of his head. Yeah, no.
Yeah, like the bottom half of his head is gone.
Gone.
So yeah, like vaporized.
Yeah, bro.
So they make it to the castle wall, and Amanda Waller stays with Rick Flag because, he's obviously got information.
Hmm.
So, and she says to him, like, you are too stubborn to die from this.
Yeah.
Come on, you better get it together.
Hmm.
Little pep talk.
Yeah.
And she's right. So he does wake up just enough to be able to say, hey, we were wrong.
Yeah.
You need to go. Like, McPherson was not McPherson.
Yeah.
That's all he's able to get. And she was able to piece together something from that. She was like, okay, we need to go to McPherson's house. They go to McPherson's house. They smell that she's dead.
Hmm.
They see Clayface, and the dude is like, yeah, Clayface is shapeshifter. So uh Ekmos, I guess, Ekmos or whatever his name
Yeah.
is. Yeah, he's like, yeah, Clayface is a shapeshifter. So he was right. Dr. McPherson wasn't Dr. McPherson. So Amanda Waller's like, I have to call off the hit right now. Get me a phone. And we see that the bride says, because the princess is like, hey, I'm going for a swim. And the guards are like, that's a terrible idea.
Right.
And she's like, y'all got me, right? I'm safe. I ain't got nothing to worry about. Y'all are here.
Right.
So I'm going for a swim. My life ain't gonna stop because of this.
Hmm.
So while she's on this swim, they're like, hey, Nina, it's got to be you
Gotta be you.
because you got to get her under the water. That's the only way this is
Hmm.
going to happen. And we see that Weasel is struggling because Weasel is, he had a great time with the princess, and he sees the little girl that he couldn't save in her.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
So he's struggling. And I wasn't mad when Dr. Phosphorus was like, do you need to be put down?
Yeah. Do you?
Because I can't
Yeah.
have you fucking up the operation.
Yeah. Right.
So again, like, I felt bad, but I was kind of on Dr. Phosphorus's side of like, hey, if you can't get right,
I'm gonna have to. Yeah.
we're gonna have to do something about you.
Yeah.
Because this is a situation where the mission's got to come first. As far as we know, the world could end.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm gonna need you to shut the fuck up and sit down. And the bride gives Nina the whole, like, because Nina was like, I'm just a person. I'm not a
Hmm.
monster. And the bride was like, yeah, I was all bullshit.
Yeah.
You're the most monstrous of us all.
You wear a tank on your head. Like, what are
Yeah.
we talking about?
Yeah. So you get your ass in there
Yeah. In the damn
and
water.
kill that bitch. So, yeah, got to get her while she's swimming, got to get her under that water. We are taken back to the flashback, and we see that Nina decides to just live in the sewers, and we see that somebody gets a picture of her, and,
Hmm.
she's mythical. But then they decide, no, we got to capture her. So, again, they capture her for no fucking reason,
Yep.
and a crowd forms. Dad sees that they've captured her, so he makes his way through the crowd and he's just talking to her
Hmm.
and they shoot him. My initial thought was, oh, he was black. He wouldn't have made it that far.
Yeah.
But he makes it to her and he says to her, like, hey, you're not a burden. And then he dies. Again, whenever they killed him in front of her, I was like, oh, somebody got to get
Yeah.
hit for that.
Yep.
Something has to
But
happen to someone.
she about to tip this thing over and it's cracking.
Yeah, like I don't know what's about to happen, but like we're about
Yeah.
to see some kind of special power that she has,
Hmm.
or she's about to accidentally get violent, rip somebody's face off.
Hmm.
Nice little headbutt with the tank. Like I just, oh
Yeah.
well, I guess she wasn't wearing the tank because she was,
Yeah. I guess. Yeah. She was just out.
yeah. I was like, she about to spit acid or something,
Yeah.
but no, they just put her in the tank.
Yep.
So what I will say is that she never breaks character.
Hmm.
Nina was very consistent
Yeah.
in this show. And I like that, like that's a well-written character to me.
Yeah.
Uh so props to James Gunn for that. But in today's time, um we see that Amanda Waller, went to the house, saw the stuff, and Weasel breaks down. Like we see that at this point, uh Nina's in the water, stalking her prey. She's
Hmm.
got the knife in hand. Weasel can't take it anymore. He makes himself known, makes noise that alerts the princess, and underwater, she gets the knife taken away from her, and she gets jugged underwater. Now, let me say this about when that happened. I think that I enjoyed this art style because I could see something different in the princess's eyes when
Mm.
she stabbed Nina.
Yeah.
The way that they animated the princess when she stabbed Nina, I was like, there's something's there.
Yeah. No,
Like
100%.
she's not she's not innocent.
Yeah.
Like there's something, nah, like there was there was nothing behind those eyes. With like
Yep.
she had no issue.
Hmm.
And
She done this before.
yeah, like she's not new to this.
Hmm.
And the fact that she was able to do that with no thoughts, like the lack of anything, I
Yeah.
was like, okay, no,
Yeah.
there was there was something there. And so they are able to get on the phone. Amanda Waller is able to reach them,
Hmm.
and well, we can see that whenever they see Nina's body rise out of the water, they
Yep.
are, and of course, whenever the princess steps out of the water, she looks sad,
Yeah.
like she's devastated by what has happened. But yeah, we see that the squad again hurt. Now,
Hmm.
I know that I'm watching a show where nobody's safe
Yeah.
and anybody could get it at any time. But I was hurt when Nina died.
Yeah. That sucked.
And I was like, Nina, please have some kind of special power that will let you live.
Yeah. Because I thought maybe with her being in the water, that might help healing, but I don't know.
That's what I thought too. I was
Yeah.
thinking maybe because she is in water, she will be
Hmm.
okay.
Right.
Because it's only when she's not in water that it's really a problem.
Hmm.
But yeah, she was, and she got jugged. Like she should have died. Like
Oh
Princess
yeah.
got her.
Bro, about eight, 5, 6 times, like
Yeah,
good
and
times too.
and whenever we found out that Nina was in fact just human,
Yeah, that's true. Yep.
because whenever the bride said that to her, I was like, I mean, not really, but no, no, she was actually just a person
Yeah.
that had a condition and then got turned into what she was through science.
Hmm.
But it's not like she was, born born an amphibious being.
Right.
So, um, Amanda Waller's able to get the message to the squad, and later we see that the bride needs to have a little conversation with the princess.
Hmm.
And during their conversation, the bride, because the princess is like, I will, for y'all did exactly what y'all were supposed to do under the circumstances. I forgive y'all. No hard feelings.
Hmm.
And the bride was like, "Oh, you got me fucked up. Let me tell you what I saw. Let me tell you what I noticed. Let me tell you some of the things that happened." So I think that Cersei was right. I think that you are going to end the world. I think that Dr. McPherson was real whenever she corroborated that story
Hmm.
because I saw you on the video with Clayface.
Mm.
And since I saw you on the video with Clayface, y'all working together, I think that you seduced our leader and orchestrated this whole thing. I think you actually are going to end the world like the prophecy said you would. And I really could not care less about that. If you were just going to end the world, I don't give a fuck.
Right.
I don't like the world anyway. This world is kind of trash. I'm not going to kill you because I have orders. I am going to kill you because you killed the one good person on this team. You killed the only person on this team with a conscience. You killed the only person on this team with a soul. You killed my only friend in this world. And for that, I will have your life.
Yeah.
Princess tries to reach for her little gun, but she ain't quick enough. You got to be quicker than that.
Fire.
And the bride puts a hot one dead center. And when she did it, I was like, good.
Yeah. Headshot.
Good. Get that bitch out of here.
Yeah.
Picola Stan gonna have to figure it out. And yeah, so the bride sheds a tear for her fallen friend and is like, hey, saddle up, let's go.
Yeah.
And let's be quick about it.
Yep.
Dr. Phosphorus is like, someone need to know. Let's leave.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
We'll talk about it in the car, but we need to go. So they are able to make it back home, and the bride is, given a whole new, like, hey, we recognize what you did. We appreciate you. It didn't go unnoticed. So then they open the door and we see, not a whole new squad, but we see, some new faces in there.
Mm-hmm.
Just enjoying the wing that they now have to themselves. And she's like, I mean, I got you a new squad. So like if we need to call on you again, we good? And the bride is like, I mean, yeah.
All right.
What else am I gonna do? So yeah, let's do this. And that's where the show ends. And then of course, the little post-credit scene, we see that Frankenstein is fine.
Yeah.
And, has a different old lady that he is eating some soup with.
It's tough.
I will say, old lady that let him know that the bride was at the castle.
Yeah. I did like in that scene with her, like we saw G.I. Robot's back.
Yes.
Was that King Shark? Bigger. Yeah, he's bigger. Yeah.
Yes. We saw King Shark. We saw, I'm pretty sure that was Nosferatu. That was playing ping pong.
Yeah.
And
I forgot who was sitting in the little chair. But
and yeah, Weasel was in there, grooming himself.
Yeah. But
yeah, and then I feel like there was one other person in there.
Yeah, he was like
it was a mummy or a pharaoh.
Like a
yeah.
mummy.
And that, with Creature Commando, that tracks. But I feel like I have seen that mummy dude before, but I don't know his name.
Same.
So yeah, like I'm sure that whenever we get another season or whenever they show up in something, we will get an intro card for him.
Yep, 100%. Get a backstory.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. Really good season. Really good season television.
I agree. Brandon, scale of 1 to 10. What are you thinking?
I'm gonna get it a solid. I get a solid 8.5. Like, I enjoyed it. It was. I love an ensemble team. I say it all the time. I love a team where it's an ensemble, and I can get to know backstories for like 4 or 5 different people, and not just 1 or 2 people. I love that scenario, and I love this formula of like each episode I'm learning about somebody. It's kind of like Power Rangers used to do. Like, you get an episode of backstory for everybody, And so, but yeah, overall, animation grew on me. The backstories, I like that we got a touch of the rest of the DC universe, but we kind of focused on Creature Commandos, and we didn't make it bigger than it needs to be, or make the scale bigger than it needs to be. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. What
I
about
did
you?
too. I would also give this an 8.5. I like again, I trust James Gunn, and
Mm-hmm.
this only helps. There were moments in this show that were really uncomfortable.
Yeah. Yep.
I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I don't like being uncomfortable, but I think that James Gunn uses that tool very well.
Yeah.
I think that he did a great job of telling the stories of these people, getting you invested in these people. Um, Again, the cast was phenomenal.
Yep.
I don't think there was anybody that I just had problems with in the cast. I
Mm-hmm.
don't love Viola Davis as Amanda Waller.
Really?
I don't love it. She's not my favorite Amanda Waller. I don't hate it,
Gotcha.
but I don't love it. Like she's not who I would have chosen.
I'm not gonna lie. Probably my favorite Amanda Waller is from Arrow, the Arrowverse. Even though that looks totally different than the actual Amanda, I think just her voice and the way she speaks and things of that nature was really good.
My favorite Amanda Waller is actually from Justice League and Justice League Unlimited. And like
Oh yeah,
that universe, like CCH Pounder, that is my Amanda Waller.
yeah, yeah. She was good.
And for live action, I think that B-15 should be Amanda Waller. Um,
Oh, okay. Yeah, I
but
can see it.
and she might be too young now, since Amanda Waller has a daughter that's grown.
I mean, but if we're thinking new DC universe, well, it's kind of
I
tough.
mean,
We
and
still,
Viola Davis is already locked in.
yeah, 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 for sure.
But and again, I don't hate Viola Davis, but
Yeah,
I she's not my favorite.
yeah,
And I think if CCH Pounder were younger, I would want her to just be live action Amanda Waller.
yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, that's my Amanda Waller.
Hmm.
Um, but I think that everything about it was really good.
Yeah,
Again,
100%.
I wanted a little more like how did Weasel get here?
Yeah, yeah.
Otherwise, I think that this was very well done. Again, James Gunn did a great job. This is James Gunn's like bag, so
Oh,
I knew
100%.
he would. But
Yeah.
this does have me, looking forward to this world
Hmm.
and what else he has planned for it, what else he's going to do with it. I am excited to see, some of these other characters, because that's the thing. To get me to like the entire ensemble, that's a tall order
Yeah.
because it's very rare that you have a random squad or even a show with multiple characters like an ensemble and I like and care about everyone.
Yep. Yeah.
Again, the person I cared about the least was Rick Flag.
Absolutely. And I think he knew that. He knew Rick Flag's character kind of has a ceiling, right? Like it's only so far you can go with that character. So
Yeah.
to like almost write him out of it was smart.
Yeah, sidelining him was a good move.
Yeah.
Um Frankenstein, I hate him, but
Yeah.
I'm also really glad he's here.
Same.
Like
Same.
he's an
I mean,
awful person, but
I don't know how many bodies he had on this show. He might like if we did a count on who had the most bodies, he's up there.
yeah, he is. And
He's up.
unnecessarily. Like he didn't
Yeah.
have to kill the people he killed.
Yeah. Like it wasn't even like GI Robots was like in mass. It was a batch order. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? It was a batch edit. But
Hmm.
this was like Frankenstein's was like personal.
Yeah, like he
Like,
put his hands on
yeah, I'm gonna
everybody he
snap your
killed.
neck. I'm gonna take your rib cage
I'm gonna
out. I'm
crush
gonna
your head.
yeah.
Yeah, like he was. Yeah, it was ugly when it. Yeah, like
Mhm.
again, his kills were violent
Yeah.
and yeah, very personal. Like, come
Yeah.
here.
Exactly. I don't know if he shot a gun.
No, he didn't. I don't think he did.
Like all bodies, hand to hand combat.
Yeah, and yeah, it was. Yeah, so yeah, I would say yeah, GI Robots probably got the most, of course.
Yeah.
Um, The Bride and Dr. Phosphorus maybe tied for two because they they handled some people.
Yeah, they'd have put a lot of people down.
But yeah, Frankenstein's probably next
Yeah, yeah,
for what we saw in this show.
yeah.
But yes, solid 8.5. Very good show. I had a great time with it. I
Same.
knew I would, because again, I trust James Gunn. He hasn't really let me down yet. So
Yeah,
yeah.
I agree. I am excited. I'm glad James Gunn gets to play in this type of universe with DC because James Gunn, I feel like naturally he likes more darker stuff. He likes comedy. But he likes more, this realm where he can
Yeah.
show killings and the brutality a little bit. And he couldn't do that necessarily in the Disney world. So in
Yeah.
DC, you fully lean into that. Not too much. Like for the characters that it fits, he can lean into it.
Yeah, like I would be perfectly fine if they gave James Gunn the green light to do like an 8 episode Lobo show.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I think that budget might be an issue,
Yeah.
but
Are you saying live action or animation?
either one. If they did live action, budget would be an issue.
Yeah, 100%.
But yeah,
It'd be tough.
for animation, yeah, like it could be as gory and violent as we want.
I think that'd be beautiful for animation because he could just pop it. Each episode you have a new bounty, and then you can just have Jason Momoa do the voice.
Yep. And again, because we've seen Jason Momoa, I have said it once, I will continue to say it. Cast Roman Reigns as Lobo.
Yeah.
He's not champion anymore. He got time.
Yeah.
Cast Roman Reigns as Lobo.
I agree. I think he'd set his mind up, and so Jason Momoa is the guy. But
Which I get. Like
I get it, and if they can make a funny joke out of it, it might be all worth it. Who knows?
Yeah, because Lobo's one of those people, he can live outside of the fourth wall.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, you can
like if
make
the first
you can
episode
make a
he's
little joke
leaving,
there, and then yeah.
Yeah, first episode he's leaving. He's like coming out of the water and like he's getting chased by the army because he just assassinated Aquaman. I'd be like, okay, not bad.
Yeah. So I'm sure they'll do something with it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah.
I'm very happy with
Same.
this show. And
Same.
I'm happy with the direction I think James Gunn will go with this entire universe.
Same. Bro, I was already all in. Like this show helped it a lot, but Superman trailer helped me 10 times more. It's like everything is like he's hitting singles and he's not trying to do too much. Like the fact that he made this kind of the starting point, like Superman is like the official, but we know this is the first like James Gunn led for sure. So I think this is a really good start. A really good jumping off point. But,
okay. Yeah. I'm not worried. I trust James Gunn.
Yeah.
And I think that Superman is the next thing, right?
Yeah, Superman is the next thing.
Okay. And that is highly anticipated. As you know, I don't do trailers, but I've only heard that the trailer has the highest level of anticipation we like can have in this situation.
Yep.
So, yeah. I know in my heart Superman is going to hit, and when it does, then it is only going to solidify James Gunn's supremacy
Right.
in this case. And also, I don't think that absolutely everything has to be in a connected universe, so it looks like other DC things that were cooking might still be going on. So,
Yeah.
like the Matt Reeves Batman might still have some stuff because again, Penguin was excellent.
Yeah.
So that doesn't need to just stop and be dead in the water.
Rumors are that potentially they're gonna fuse this all into one universe. Now, who knows? I think they're having a little more problems with the Batman, Brave and the Bold, trying to like cast a new Batman. So they're trying to figure out if they want to mold it or start a new one. I don't know, but I agree though. I think having two different ones is fine, especially if you clearly define these are two separate ones, which I think they've done for the most part. It's still some casual fans that'll always be like, "Why is there two Batmans?" But like if you clearly define it, and most people know DC. It's always been that. Like they've always had different. All comic book places have, but especially DC, they've always separated it pretty well.
Yes, and it's very easy to just be like, "That's happening on a different Earth."
Yeah.
Problem solved. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and again, it would be very easy. Like, if I were James Gunn and I had control of the entire thing, then I would like if I had other plates spinning, then
Mm-hmm.
at the beginning of the movie or show or whatever, I would just put an Earth number on it,
Yeah.
and then we're good.
Yeah. Like he Elseworld, I think the title is like Elseworlds or something. Like if it has it under the title, okay, that's over there.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
easy.
Where like Superman's main universe, Batman, at least for now, the Batman is in a different other universe, so is the Penguin. And if they're smart, just keep it contained. Don't do 50 different shows over in that universe, but just keep it Penguin, keep it the Batman. Cool. We wrap those things up whenever we wrap them up, and then cool, we keep it moving.
Yeah, like we don't need to see like an entire universe worth of people in
Right.
the Batman's universe. Like
Exactly.
we can keep it like Gotham can be the only place we know about
Yep.
in that universe.
Exactly.
That's fine.
Right.
Like we
Exactly.
don't
And as
we don't
long as
need
they
to go
don't,
to Star City in that universe.
yeah, exactly. That's when I think it gets dangerous. But if you keep it contained, all right, bet. No one cares. But we shouldn't be having Green Arrow show up there, and then now we got a new Green Arrow and this new, you know what I mean? That's when it
Yeah.
gets a little confusing, a little messy.
So yeah, I think it'll be fine.
Yeah,
Again, I still trust James Gunn. He has not given me a reason not to trust him.
100%. This only helps that argument.
Okay. Brandon, anything else on the show?
That's all, man. I really enjoyed it. Excited for DC, more DC content.
This almost just ended up being an episode of DC Animation with Spencer and Friends.
Yeah, pretty much.
You know, I review movies over on my podcast for now, but
Yeah,
yeah, this I'm I'm happy with it.
yeah, 100%.
Jordan, we missed you,
Yeah,
and hopefully, whenever you're done with whatever it is that you're doing, you'll be back. But yeah, I'm sure. I want to see if the people like noticed Jordan's absence
oh
and
yeah,
if they like feel anything about it.
yeah. Because and I feel like Jordan would have liked this. Like overall, I think the brutality, the funniness, all different characters, I think he would have enjoyed it.
I do too. And I am not I think that next time we see Jordan, he will let us know if he has any feelings or if he watched it at all.
Yeah, yeah. He can let us know his thoughts. And you guys can let us know your thoughts on Creature Commandos. And like Spencer said, it's on the Facebook, the Instagram, the X, YouTube comments, anything, reviews, anything. Let us know. We're always happy to talk, correspond with you guys. But Spencer, did you have anything else?
No, that's all I had.
All right. We are never duplicated, always appreciated.
And forever melanated.